So the first like 6 minutes of this video is from my security camera, and it's all in fast motion by like 100 times speed. Its first few days, digging out the pit that was already in my yard, um, getting the debris out of there, getting dirt delivered, filling dirt in that pit, shaping it so the pond fits in there, taking the pond out, cleaning it, noticing there was water underneath the pond, and it rained a few different days, so I had to shop vac the water out of there in order to pull the pond out. And then after I get the liner in, fill more dirt around it, and then put stones around it. So that's the first 6 minutes, and then after that is the review for the pump that I bought, and you'll see the fountain and the waterfall and stuff like that. So this is a video about my pond, my little koi pond, without the actually koi fish that I'm building. And I really don't know what I'm doing at all. I picked up a Total Pond 300 GPH filter kit pump at Home Depot. I don't know if that's enough or not. These are clips from start to finish. First I explain the pump, then I put the pump in there, then I have to do some adjustments to get it to work. It didn't work how I really hoped it would, but at the end of the video I got it to work and look pretty decent. So this is the pond that I'm building, and this is the pump that I just bought. I just sat it in there to see kind of the height of where I'm at. And so that middle piece is the fountain portion, and I'm gonna bring that inside and kind of dissect it and go through it, what everything looks like. But just trying to get an idea of the height here on where it stands, and I think it comes up enough. You want that nozzle part to be out of the water, so you don't want to fill the pond to the top, because obviously when it rains it'll overflow. So this is what this pump looks like. So I'm going to take this in the house and we'll talk about this a little bit. Alright, so now I'm inside, and this is the Total Pond complete filter kit with pump. I got this from Home Depot. All this stuff together with the warranty. I bought a 2-year warranty because I read some reviews that were kind of botched. The warranty was $20, but altogether this was $200. I'm making this video because I know absolutely nothing about ponds, koi ponds, any kind of ponds at all. And looking for information on this stuff about what type of pump I should get, the GPH, all that for the size of my pond. I have no clue what I'm doing. So I'm making this video in hopes that it helps other people. I'm totally winging this. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm recording this as I go along. That's why I kind of started the video outside to see how this looked submerged. There's no water out there, so not technically submerged, but at the bottom of the pond. If you're starting a pond similar to mine and you have no idea what kind of pump to get or whatever, this might help you a little bit. I will say this is expensive. There's pumps that are like $30, which probably could work just as good. I wanted a filter though, and that's why I got this filter pump, which really is just basically a box with these two things on it. It's actually not as great as I thought, but I guess it does the job. I don't know. I don't really plan to have koi fish because I don't know nothing about them, and I don't want to throw fish in there and see them die. I have to do a lot of research on that first about getting the water levels balanced and stuff, and exactly what I need in there. But for right now, I want kind of clear water, and that's why I got a filter kit with the pump instead of just getting a pump. Now, when you actually look at this pump here, it has suction cups on it. It's a fairly small pump. It's very small compared to other ones that I was looking at. And this is 300 GPS, the pump is. I thought the pump would be probably the size of the box, but maybe it doesn't need to be, I don't know. One thing I noticed is it has this switch on it, and this can control the power of the water. So that was a concern I had, is how much water was going to flow out of this, because if this fountain shoots up too much water, it's going to go over the sides of my pond, and that's something I don't want. So my concern with this, not knowing anything about this, is 300 GPH might be too much for my pond. I think the pond liner out there is 250 gallons. I'm not sure on that. I could be completely wrong, but I think it says 250. This says ideal for up to 500 gallons. So I think I should be good. And this is the basic setup of how I'm gonna set this up. So we have the base here, which is the filter and the pump. This comes up, which is this here. So we have two different things going on here. You have a diverter valve right here, and it has a switch on it that you can turn it on and off if you want to use it or not. You just turn that on and off and it blocks it. Or you could just get rid of that piece and just use this piece instead. But I want to use this. I want to use this for the way that I'm hooking mine up. So the top here, you could screw this off, I guess, if it gets clogged, but this isn't, you can't adjust it with this here. The only adjustment is through this knob on the pump here, which I guess is how much water pumps through it. So for me, this is what I'm doing is I'm gonna have the water fountain coming out of the top of this, and then right here, this is gonna go to the water falls, which I'm gonna have 2 of them. So the problem is this only goes one way. Now going to 2 waterfalls, I don't know if this is gonna be enough power for 2 waterfalls, but we'll see. It might be a slow trickle. I don't know. I'll have to see when we set it up. But I got this 1/2-inch tubing, which was, I don't know, I think $15 or something at Home Depot. And we're going to use that. And so the other thing I bought here is I had to go in the plumbing section and get this little T connection. It's a 1/2-inch. Now what I'm going to do is basically attach it to here like this. A hose will go in there, a hose will go in there. I said hose, not hose. And you know, these 2 sections are going to go to the 2 different waterfalls. So I'm hoping this idea will work. But as you can tell, this 1/2-inch, it doesn't plug into here. So what I'm going to have to do is cut a, let's get these out of the way. I'll explain what these are in a second. This slides into here, but it's a little bit loose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get clamps and clamp that on there real tight. And then I'll cut a piece about right there, and then I'll put the tubing here, and then we'll run the rest of the tubing off of here into the waterfalls. So that should work out good. I just have to get 2 or 3 clamps, small clamps, for this to stay on there tight. Probably could have bought 1 size up maybe, but the idiot at Home Depot told me this is what I needed, so it'll still work. I'll just clamp it on there so it's not loose. So that's the idea is, yeah, you run, if you can see in the diagram here, that goes up, that's your fountain. This goes over to your waterfalls. And it looks like in the diagram they're actually maybe using 2 pumps, I'm not sure. So I guess let me show you guys the actual pump. And it has, you know, the filters here, which I guess supposed to replace, I think it said replace the filters every year, and it said clean, should clean every year. It has instructions in the instruction booklet. It tells you how to clean everything. These little spiky balls, I guess you want to call them, what these do is these collect bacteria, but it collects good bacteria. So I guess it pushes it back into the water, and that's supposed to be good for like if you have fish and stuff. So those just sit in there, and the way you set your pump in, you're going to want to set the pump, I guess in the diagram it looks like around, you know, somewhere like that. And you know, then you put that on there, and then you put the top on it, and there's a hole, you know, that goes through here. One other feature I'll show, and this is really easy to put together and take apart and stuff. Most of the stuff, you just press on. You don't even screw it on. So you see that's the diverter there to shut it on and off. I don't know if, there we go. Yeah, so that closes it, so that's good. Trying to do this while holding the camera is hard. So that's off, and straight would be on. All right. Another cool thing about this is actually a swivel. So if we loosen this up, you can swivel this pipe a little bit to the left or right or whatever way. And this way, if you don't want the fountain to go straight up in the air, if you want it to go a little bit, you know, on an angle, you can actually do that, and then you lock it in with that. So all these pieces are just, basically you have one piece that screws in there, and then this is like the locking thing, and then everything else just kind of presses together. And really that's it. So this is on the lowest setting, and it's a little bit off. The box floats, so I'll have to weigh it down, but I didn't want to weigh it down until I get it adjusted. And I didn't want to fill it up all the way because I have to stick my hand in there, and it's very cold out today. So this is the lowest setting. They can get a little bit better than that. So I'm gonna try to put it on the medium setting, I guess. Either medium or full, we'll see. So this is the highest setting, and I actually like the way that this looks. It fits perfect for the width and everything. It doesn't like go over the side or anything. Of course, I can adjust it a little bit. I don't have the adapter on there and the hose, so this might not be powerful enough, or I might need to buy a second pump, smaller one, for the round waterfall over there. So my next test is I'm gonna put the adapter on there and attach a hose to it, and then see the difference between the fountain, how it sprays when the tube is actually going into the other bucket, and the pressure is a little bit different. Here's with the hose running and the fountain running. That's with just the fountain. So I mean, it's a decent amount of flow, it looks like. Could be a little bit faster. So this is at full power, 300 GPH with just one hose attached. As you can see, it doesn't really do too much for the waterfall there. Actually, most of it is kind of trickling behind it, which is not really too good. because then that water will just run underneath it and pool. Might have to see if I can get that closer or swap it out for this one. So I switched the barrel out. It's slowly filling up. See if this one drops a little bit better. Kind of. It has a hard time getting past that middle screw though. It doesn't seem to be dripping behind the liner though, which is good. A little bit, but I don't know if there's any way I could adjust this. So here's another test I'm doing. I have a hose just running to that. I cut off the supply to that. I just wanted to see if the flow to this would be kind of different. And it just doesn't seem to pump fast enough into this to make a decent waterfall. So I'm either gonna have to get another pump or I don't know. I might have to eliminate these two. I don't really like the way that flows. It's just not pushing over correctly any way that I figure it. It might be because the barrels are just too old, but I'm more worried about water getting behind the pond than seeping underneath and creating a pool underneath. So I was possibly thinking of putting that over to that. If I slope this a little more, creates a little bit better of a waterfall. But still, it doesn't seem to be pumping water into here fast enough, really. So I angled the barrel a little bit. I still got to put dirt under it to make it so it stays once the water gets in there. But just running the hose to right there, kind of has the flow that I want. So I guess I'm gonna put dirt in there, have it slope down a little so it pushes that way. Alright, now I think I finally got it to where I'm kind of happy with it, as much as I can be anyways, without returning this thing. So you can see I sloped that a lot. It would look better if the water was flat in there, but This is the only way I could get it to the water to actually fall. So it's not a lot, but you get some heavy rains. So again, I'm kind of worried about this barrel overflowing to the rocks and then going underneath it. So I think I'm happy with how this is. So I'm gonna put some more water in here, hide that tube, cut the tube a little bit. I think it should be good. So I'm zip stripping a rock underneath this, and that'll go in the middle. This is already kind of heavy, but still floats. Picking it up out of the water is going to be a little bit harder with the rock on it, but I don't know. It's the only way I can think of weighing it down. So I'm going to show my final product with the 300G pump with the filter kit. I should have bought a stronger pump, and I really don't think I need the filter kit, so I paid way more than I should have. It's just not enough. It's good for what it is. I had to make a lot of adjustments. So we have a few things going on here. This all needs to be graveled and everything. So this isn't all done yet. This is the pump and the filter. What I had to do was put a rock underneath and then zip strip the box that the pump is in, because if not, it would just float and move. This fountain is fairly small. There's a switch in the middle there, and you could adjust the switch, and it'll make the fountain higher, but it'll turn the waterfall off. So I could adjust the switch to turn the waterfall off, and the fountain will be bigger, or I could just have the waterfall running and not the fountain. When you have just the fountain going, the fountain looks a lot better, but it makes a little bit more noise because it goes up higher. So let me see if I can just get in here and do this without dropping my phone. So you can see that's a big difference with the fountain. Eventually that'll cut the waterfall off because there's nothing now going to the hose, and the fountain looks a lot better, especially from far away. Looks a lot better. It's not that much louder either. So I could switch it back and forth. That middle piece comes off, and you could just run a straight piece instead of having the switch on it. So as you can see, the hose cut off, and now there's no waterfall running. So I think like on days maybe that I know that's gonna have heavy rains, I might cut that off. I had to slope this big time in order to make the water fall out, because if not, it was just dripping out. The pump just isn't enough. So you could tell by the water that's in there. See how it's more heavier on that side. I had to put a lot of more dirt underneath the back end of this and slope it. So I'm not too happy about that, but I'm really the only person that's going to notice it. I don't think people are going to come over and complain. The water's a little bit murky because me moving around the rocks and stuff, I got some mud and dirt in there. I'll probably throw some decorative stone in there and add some stuff. But for right now, this is just what it is. Yeah, so it's pump's not bad, but for the price, it was, you know, for the hose, the pump, and everything was $200, which is way too much, I think, in my opinion. I was gonna make this bigger. I was gonna have an extra waterfall here, and then I was gonna have a waterfall leading all the way from here down to here. That's just not gonna work with this pump, and I really don't want to put more money into this project. So this is kind of where it's gonna stay at, I think. And then I'm gonna get stone delivered and put some tarp down. The one thing I wish I would have done is put pea stone underneath these rocks before I formed it. That was a mistake. I should have put pea stone down. The one thing I'm worried about is when we do get heavy rains, is water seeping in around these edges here and going underneath and pooling, like forming a puddle underneath the pond. Hopefully this stone around it will kind of reflect it and divert it enough where that doesn't happen. So that's my big worry, especially with that thing there, is I'm afraid that's going to overflow on a heavy rain and pour over the sides, and then it'll go underneath the pond. So that's a bit of a concern. I'm gonna have to watch it as it rains and see what happens. I might have to get rid of that completely, or just have it only maybe halfway filled and not even have the waterfall go and have no water flow to it. This way it won't overflow, but it'll still be there for decoration, and so I won't have to fill that hole in. But yeah, this is how it looks on full flow, and then I'll adjust it once more and watch the waterfall kick in, which is very kind of slow. Yeah, so not too bad, considering I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So we'll see what happens, and then I'll adjust it accordingly to whatever disasters happen. But that is that. Of course, everything will look better once this is all filled in, and then I get some benches and other stuff to put in here to kind of fill everything up to make it look a little bit decorated. So as I spliced this footage together and I was looking at it, I was thinking more and more. I think what I'm going to do, the next step I'm going to do is the big rocks that surround the pond, I'm going to remove all those. And I really do not want to do this, but I think it's for the best. I'm gonna actually remove those, and then I'm gonna put a layer of sand down around it, around the whole pond, and then I'm gonna put a layer of pea stone around instead of just having dirt underneath it. And I'll tell you why I'm doing that. I've had foundation issues on my regular house before, and I've had to do that, and it's helped slow the water down. So before I started this video, this compilation of videos, I had pulled that pond liner out to hose it down and get some of the dirt and stuff out of there. When I did that, I had found that there was a pool of water underneath the pond liner, and I could see in the dirt there was a little stream that had gone through the dirt, gone down into a pocket, and then went down into the middle. Um, Now I have a like plastic tarp liner thing that's in the bottom of the pond. The reason why that's there is because originally there was a pond there originally from a different owner, and he didn't use the hard plastic. He just used the tarp type of plastic. And so I left that in there for protection, but I didn't realize that water might go underneath the hard plastic and actually pool underneath there. So now I have that problem that's been sticking in the back of my head of what if water keeps getting trapped under there and it doesn't have anywhere to really drain underneath. It's going to push up the pond or do something that I don't want it to do. So I've decided, even though I don't want to do this at all, I'm going to move all those big rocks, put sand all around it, and then put pea stone all around it. And that should give it a little bit of a barrier to keep water kind of floating on top of it and away from it instead of sinking down in it. I'm hoping. So I'm not going to show that step as I do it because it'll be extremely boring, but that's the next step I'm going to do. And then after I do that, then I'm going to lay a weed barrier in that entire section, the giant section that's all muddy. I'm going to lay weed barrier down, and then I'm going to have stone delivered and just dumped in a pile, and then I'll spread it down, and that'll be all stone. And maybe I'll make another video when that's like completely finished, but it won't be part of this video because it'll be, another 2 weeks or so before I even get to that stage. So that's that.